This is Danny Gould with the Gould team selling Silicon Valley. Welcome everyone to another Silicon Valley market snapshot for the first week now in December of 2019. Wow, 11 months have gone by, everyone. And my, oh my, how the tides have turned. If you're a Silicon Valley home seller, this should be the best thing you've seen all year long. And if you're a home buyer here in Silicon Valley, this should frankly be the most depressing episode that you've seen all year. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but at the same time, it should also be the best thing that you've seen all year. And I'll explain what I mean in a minute. But before we get into the data, let me explain to you what's going on. Because for the last 18 months, we've experienced it's no secret, we've experienced a downturn here in Silicon Valley. Prices have gone down. Active inventory was up. Pending sales were down. And about 6 months ago, we started to see a trend in the positive direction if you're a home seller here in Silicon Valley. And I've been talking about it, I've been predicting this, and I've been warning all of you that are home buyers that this day would come. And finally, it's come. The much anticipated day is here. And for the first time in over 18 months, pending sales are outpacing active inventory here in Santa Clara County in the single family sector, with the condo and townhome sector not far behind. In layman's terms, there's more demand than there is supply. For the first time again in 18 months. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. The good news for you, if you're a home buyer, is that this is leading information, right? These are lead measures that eventually lead to prices appreciating. So, the good news is that you're watching this video. You should probably turn it off right now and go buy. Because in 60 days, 30 to 60 days, this is going to become front page news on the Mercury, and everyone is going to know. So before all of the home sellers in Santa Clara County become privy to this information, you should probably get off the couch, stop eating the holiday cookies, and go buy some houses. And if you're a home seller, giddy up, because come about January 15th, like I've been telling you guys, like I've been saying in these videos, January 15th comes and you are going to have a field day. There's going to be very low inventory. Demand is going to be sky high for that time of year. It already is. And we're going to see some great things happen for Silicon Valley. Home prices, well, we're going to see some great things happen. If you're a home seller, appreciation will occur as a result of the basic economic principle of supply and demand. Let's get into the data. And let's analyze the numbers, because it's really interesting. It's fascinating what's going on right now. And I'll explain what all of this means for both home buyers and sellers, because that's, I know that's important to you guys. So 2019 here, for the first week in December, we see that finally, for the first time in over 18 months, pending sales are outpacing active inventory. Last week, we flip-flopped here, and we really, we made that transition over. And obviously, this is just a point in time. This could very well turn back in the other direction. However, we've been following this trajectory. We've been following this path. And so these, if it's just a weak blip, that's one thing. But this is something that we've seen coming for a long time. And in the condo and townhome sector, we're not far off. Let's compare these numbers to what happened in 2018, because in 2018, we were already far up and above the pendings in the single family sector, and condos and townhomes were also hurting at that point. And what I want to point out is that last year, this was a trend that continued into 2020, and almost every year we see the same thing happen, where these trends they start out in the wintertime and they play themselves out in Q1 and especially Q2 of the following year. When we look at, however, how we compare to 2017 and 2016, we'll notice some differences. So 2017, we had a large discrepancy in demand versus supply. This is far greater than what we're experiencing here. So, implication number one, these numbers are not nearly as drastic as they were in 2017, or the difference, the discrepancy there. And so what that tells me is that heading into 2020, this trend will continue. However, it's not going to be as dramatic as 2017. We all remember what happened in 2017 heading into 2018, right? The first 6 months of 2018, the inventory was extremely suppressed, demand was sky high, and we had artificial inflation on prices to the point where, you know, things were going 10, 15% above the fair market value of the home, which obviously we saw itself play out last year and this year as well, in terms of the sudden rise and fall of Silicon Valley home prices over the last 18 months or so. However, if we look at 2016, we'll see that pendings were also outpacing, not nearly as significantly as in 2017, but they were outpacing more than they are today. So 2017 and 2018, at the beginning of 2017 and 2018, we had a very, very active, frothy spring market. And a lot of it had to do with the trends leading into those spring markets. Obviously, things are trending in a positive direction for home sellers. I do predict this is going to put pressure on home prices, especially in the single-family sector. However, it's not going to be as dramatic of an appreciation schedule as we've been accustomed to seeing in previous springs, namely 2018 and 2017. That's not going to be the case here. We're more likely going to see, a very nominal, a very modest increase, a very modest appreciation schedule over the next, 9 months or so. However, what I do predict, and I've said this before in previous videos, the majority of that appreciation is going to occur in the first two months or so, honestly. And at that point, the market's going to react. And there's not enough of a delta between these two numbers right now for the reactionary behavior, to compensate for reactionary behavior, if that makes sense. So whatever advantages you have right now as a home seller, those advantages are not going to play themselves out as long as we're accustomed to seeing. So if you get your home on in March, you're probably not going to experience some of the benefits of appreciating markets like multiple offers, etc. I do predict that by March, April, we'll have a more normalized, again, market, which is common. You know, there's ebbs and flows, there's peaks and valleys in this kind of environment. But if you're a home seller in today's market and you're seeing this, like, you should be, calling me today. I have plenty of appointments available between now and December 31st. Call me. Let's talk about a game plan. Let's get a strategy in place, because come, say, week 2, week 3 of January, that is going to be the optimal time for most of you to put your home on the market. Obviously, there might be some exceptions in certain areas, but for the most part, we're looking at a very frothy Q1 for home sellers. Not more frothy, that's not really, frothier than we're accustomed to seeing. And Frothy the snowman, I don't know, bad joke. I'm sorry. That was uncalled for. Let's continue. Condos and townhomes, 420, 345. So, look, it's no secret. Condos and townhomes got demolished this year by the market. And demolished is kind of an aggressive word, but it's the way in which I know that that's how condo and townhome owners feel, is that they got absolutely, like, bulldozed by the market conditions. And you did, but you're comparing it to prices that were artificially inflated due to very low amounts of inventory and moderately high amounts of demand here for Silicon Valley. So what happened over the last 9 months or so to condo and townhome owners, some of those losses could be losses, right? Some of that depreciation could be recouped potentially by middle of next year. I mean, we have to pay attention to these numbers, because the second that condos and townhomes, pendings outpace actives in the condo and townhome sector, is when we'll start to see some of that occur. But again, right, this is lagging. Prices are lagging data, so that's not going to actually come to fruition until 60 to 90 days after this, these tides start to turn. So let's pay attention. Let's continue to monitor. But if you're a home buyer, let me clue you in on a couple of facts. Fact one, prices have gone down significantly in the last year. I've heard many buyers say, hey, Danny, I'm waiting for the market to correct. Newsflash, it's corrected. Go out there and make the decision that you need to make, because in 60 days, that same buyer that had, that was waiting on the fence, they're going to be crying that they didn't make the offer now. There's just too much, there's too much information here for you to sit on the fence any longer. If you're gonna sit on the fence, honestly, just stop playing. Literally just get off the field, because it's gonna be another, who knows, until you're gonna get another opportunity to play in a market that's more favorable for you than it is for home sellers. And I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that we've been in a buyer's market. Let's not get it twisted. That's not what I said, or that's not what I've been saying. But it has skewed more in buyers' favors, has it not, over the last 12 to 18 months or so. And so these market conditions are only going to last a little bit longer. Once sellers become privy to this information, it's again the reactionary behavior, right? So this data is going to play itself out in real time, meaning that right now, if you're a home buyer, there's so little inventory on the market right now for this time of year, especially in the single family sector, that if you find something that you love and it's been on the market for 20, 30 days, and there's been no offers, and the seller is firm on their price, guess what? That is the price. That is the price, because in another 20 days or so, someone else is going to come buy it for that price. Or what's going to happen is it's going to sit there until after the first of the year. Everyone's going to get off their high horse. They're going to say, "Oh my goodness, I want my dream home here in 2020," and they're going to experience multiple offers. Literally, all the homes that sit through the holidays, come the first week of January or so, I fully expect that most of them will see multiple offers come through. So really, if you're a home buyer, yeah, this should be depressing to you, because you kind of missed the mark, but you haven't missed it entirely. You still have a little bit of time before things completely go against, before things completely play themselves out in not your favor. So word to the wise, this should be the best news you've actually heard, because you're getting this information before anyone else. If you're seeing this video and it's before December, before the end of December, use this information to your advantage, because it's truly leading information. It's leading data that will eventually, it's a lead measure that's going to play itself out in the next 30 to 60 to 90 days. So, got it? One last thing before we sign off for today. Let's look at the heat maps, because I know that some of you want to take a look at that. It probably shouldn't be that shocking given all the information that you just saw, but active listings are down in the entirety of the central part here in Santa Clara County, with one exception. We are up in Saratoga a nominal 7%, but everyone here, we're negative 36% here in Almaden, negative 50% here in Cambrian Park, and we're down negative 53% in Santa Teresa. A lot of places that were hurting earlier this year. Even Evergreen is down 16%, which was not doing so hot for a while there. So pendings, on the other hand, now, if you're a home seller in Santa Teresa, obviously there's still some ground that needs to be made up here. But for the most part, we're looking really good here. we're looking really good here if you're a home seller. And again, right, these heat maps only tell a little bit of the story, but it does give you a better idea as to what's going on in your particular area, because you know it's if you're in Santa Teresa, right? Pendings are outpacing actives, and they still are, by the way. It's negative 52%, negative 54 versus negative 32. So there's still more demand. There's still a greater decrease in supply than there was a decrease in demand, if that makes sense. So that should still be good news for you if you're a home seller in Santa Teresa. But overall, I would say that these heat maps are very indicative of what's to come. Obviously, it's the holiday season. Things are wrapping up here, if you will. But listen to me, and listen to me very carefully, and then I'm going to sign off. This is the preview. March 1st, a lot of appreciation will have already occurred. And between March and June, we're going to see a very normal spring market, some appreciation. And then come summertime, who knows what happens. But all I know is that when you see this data and it doesn't motivate you in one way, then maybe you shouldn't be buying or selling. That's just my thought. Anyways, guys, this is Danny Gould with the Gould team, selling Silicon Valley, and I'll catch all of you in the next episode.